gotten us, or in our 16 audit, she put in there that she hadn't gotten us our 15 audit until later. So she did note that in there, and in our responses kind of reflected that also.
Oh, I think our responses should reflect that.
This, for the 2014 circuit clerk, I think that's maybe what Raleigh has pulled up right now. I'm assuming that this was presented to, it just didn't make it to the state. This was probably presented to Lorraine. I'm assuming it already came before the board a few years ago, back when this one would have been due, and it just didn't get to the state. So I don't know if anybody has read through the 14's audit to see if even the stuff identified there has been corrected, or
I
if there
think
was
she
anything.
did respond to that one. I think that she had done that one.
On the responses on the
On the
corrective
14,
action?
I haven't read through it. I mean, I can go pull it because I know we have a copy in there.
When you say she responded, you mean Lorraine responded to the corrective actions?
I believe so, on 14. I'd have to pull it, but I think
Okay.
that was the last one that she had responded to. So I think she's correct. I think it just didn't make it to the state level.
And that's good then. I mean, because at least we have corrected what we were aware of.
I'll
Okay.
double check. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, and I just don't want to be left again with
3 years.
being responsible. That's right, yeah.
Now,
So
what
that-
about on the fees? I mean, is this something, 'cause I don't know if she's gonna be able, to waive both sets with the county level and on the circuit court.
On the county level, that's what we were told, is that she would take care of that. I don't know, and again, that's another thing, that if we have an auditor doing this, then I don't think we ought to be responsible for the fees.
Yeah, either your office or ours.
No, because I
Either
mean,
one.
that would be a large hit to my budget if I have to pay it, and I don't feel I should have to either.
It's not your fault, it's not our fault.
No, and we'll cross that with them, but that's, and I voiced that before, I've got a problem with that. You'll find out on Tuesday.
Yes, we will. Next on the agenda is Hope Trust Board Member discussion, and Terry asked me to put that on the agenda.
I'm neither for or against this, I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I am the board member for the county for the Hope Trust, which is our county health insurance. I talked to Angela Knupp, Human Resources. She handles all that along with Angie Coke now. And I just wanted to know if you wanted to remove me from the board, since I don't have anything to do with any of that anymore, and appoint one of them as a board member. And I don't care. I mean, you can leave me or move it. It's entirely up to you guys, your decision.
Is this a time, I mean, is this up at a certain time, or do we just,
No, I
we
just,
just do that?
and I haven't even talked to them about this yet. I just wanted to get the feelings from the board, what you wanted to do. If you wanted to do something like that, then I will contact them and see what the procedure is and see the time frame. If you don't, then we don't do anything, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yeah, no, and it's a very good point and a valid point. Personally, I think that, a human resource director should be. That would be the contact person. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, why don't you contact them and see what procedure and timeframe and so forth, and it doesn't matter to you, so.
No.
Has she been the one dealing with them anyway on the insurance stuff?
Well, they contact me if there's anything, but then I have to go to her to see
Yeah.
if there's anything, so.
Yeah, I think that.
I mean, in an
No, I'm glad you brought that.
efficiency manner, I think it's kind of silly for me to be the board member and then have to get the information from her. But there again, that's your guys'
No,
decision.
and I appreciate.
When
bringing
you
it up.
appointed me,
Right.
I was handling all of that.
Right,
all that stuff.
yeah, and I think it's a valid point, glad you brought it up.
Next on the agenda is the budget discussion. Can you give us an update?
I just been working on the budget since, yesterday and Monday. We met with Scott, you and I, and Dale Foster met with Scott and Heidi, and made it through the sheriff's department budget and updated the information that, that we talked about with Scott. we got the capital improvement request for the sheriff's department, in addition. So those numbers have been plugged into the budget. I've tried to go through we have a lot of funds, but I've made it through several of the funds that affect the general fund. Yesterday, Darren and I were going through IMRF, Social Security, where the ones where you levy for them versus the general fund. So we went through all of those. I hate to throw out a number because I'm always afraid until I review everything and look at, to make sure there's no mistakes, no fat fingering, no, overriding the formula, anything like that. And so I finished up some stuff yesterday evening, and we're a lot better off than what I thought we were gonna be. We're probably down to about $100,000 deficit is what I think we're looking at right now with the changes from the offices that we've met with right now. Now, we still have several more office holders to meet with after Thanksgiving, so next week. But I'm not sure if before then you want to meet as a board and decide how you're gonna address the deficit still, and it may be a little under 100,000, but how you're gonna address that part before we meet with the office holders. What I was trying to caution is meeting with office holders, going through their budget, they're okay with the changes, and then having to come back later to balance the budget, make more changes, and
Yeah, I don't wanna
meet
do
with them
that.
again.
I don't wanna do that.
More decisions.
I think if we proceed like we are, maybe we'll keep getting lucky.
Yeah, well, it's dwindling away, and just meeting with the few office holders that we've met with has helped, so.
Good.
Very good.
We can just continue to
I think that what we're doing is very good.
two-person subcommittee meetings and
Yep.
with the office holders.
So possibly next Tuesday, Bobby, we said we're gonna meet with Tyler next Tuesday, but I don't know if two of you are available to also meet to review some budget numbers on Tuesday also.
I'm available, so.
I'll look at my schedule.
I should be away, it's right now.
Okay.
I'll let you know, sure.
I know, we're gonna be busy.
Now, Angie, we have
Where
not
are you
met
at?
yet.
Alex, we want to try to include
You have to
you.
wait till I'm sworn in first or something?
I know we haven't met yet, but we'll
You
get
get to be
spreadsheets
part
for
of
like projected amounts, or is that something we'll just go over when we meet?
When we meet, so
Okay.
basically I think in the years past, they've sent out spreadsheets to you guys and said, here was your budget last year, and what do you think your budget needs to be this year? Kind of approached it a little different this year, and went ahead and looked at last few years' trends. So, if you're spending $1,000 in office supplies every year, we didn't need you to tell us you're gonna spend $1,000 in office supplies.
Okay.
So we kind of did all those, and then when we meet, we went through line by line, and then if there was anything that you said, oh yeah, but this year I gotta do this, or for instance, in Scott's case, our copiers changed, so actually our copier expense can come down because it was a reduced price. So we go through line by line on that and make sure we're all in agreement.
A lot of those lines, Tiffany, we've got down to the bottom line anyway. I mean, it is what it is, so.
We'll skip down to, does anybody have any committee reports?
I missed the last tourism meeting, so I don't, they were reorganizing the board, I think, as far as officers are concerned, and dates for meetings, but I haven't talked to any of them.
We still haven't got our cat on the picture yet,
No.
picture of the cat yet, so.
Shawnee Development Council did meet, I attended that meeting. The food pantry truck came in Monday. I think they said we had between 5 and 6 tons of food come into the food pantry. They've got a project going with, they received a grant from Ameren to purchase energy efficient things like light bulbs and CO2 detectors for the counties that have Ameren customers that do gas. And we do have some people in this county that qualify for those, but I thought what also was good was the fact that they came to the Walmart and bought all like $11,000 worth of stuff, which we get the benefits of that too. We'll say that we were down a little bit on our senior boxes that we got this month. It was down a little bit. But we keep trying to get over 200 each month. The Boy Scout food drive was last weekend, and the food pantry did get quite a bit of food from the Boy Scouts, so that was a good thing too. So, I know some of the money that the county gives towards that helps some of the families be able to purchase locally a turkey for Thanksgiving, because a lot of times when you get that food, they get very little meat. They get a lot of canned goods and a lot of dry goods, but they don't get much meat. So this for those that qualify, this is really something extra that the county helped with this year. Good. Is there any other business? Do any county officers have anything they'd like to say this morning?
Johnny Money?
Herschel?
No, not yet. I'm wondering, Crystal, see if she had any good news on hers.
Same news. Hopefully no news is good news, but, you know.
And when, are they gonna have a vote or anything coming up on this, or?
No, I think it's just gonna be when we get our first check next year, whenever that may be. We've heard
And
anywhere
who
from April.
releases that?
State of Illinois.
I think
It's gonna be a mystery prior to us receiving that check, basically.
A surprise,
Yeah,
not a mystery, a surprise.
yeah.
I'm an update on that same vein, which is we had a request from Chris from the ETSB board to redeem 2 of their CDs. I think it's targeted for a purchase of a vehicle, and so those both were executed over the last 2 weeks. That money's been deposited in their account, and we'll have a summary of those transactions to send to Crystal to distribute to the ETSB, but that was executed and no problems.
Good.
very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
And first of all, I think the way the legislation was written, the state police were able to go in and get the biggest percentage of the money.
Yeah, the wireless surcharge doubled, so what everyone pays on their phone doubled, which you would think would mean 911's income would double. However, it wasn't written into the law how that would be distributed, so state police decided their own formula, and that means we may see about a 10 to 12% increase from what we're hearing. So. Frustrating.
Yeah.
Glad to see all of you here, that are here.
Yes, good to see everybody here. Are there any public comments? Yes,
I've got a
Ron?
question, Bobby. What did we ever do with the cemetery money that was, at one time, they had quite a bit of money in the cemetery fund, where they took care of all these? Does anybody know how many cemeteries we got in Union County?
A bunch.
107.
Yeah, we have over 100.
And what happened to all that money? Did it go into the general fund, or?
I don't
know at one time they had some money where they could
Yes.
help and take care of these old cemeteries.
Yes.
And I had a lady that called me, her uncle is buried, I don't know if you know where Canuck Cemetery is or not, but I went out and looked at that, and the trees and the brush, I mean, it just, if you didn't know the cemetery was there, you couldn't even find it. And I was wondering, I know that this is a bad time, that somebody contact the Historical Society and see if they got any money to help keep these cemeteries up. I checked into it for this lady, and to get this thing even cleaned up, it's gonna cost over $1,000 just to go in there and get the trees cut and get it back in shape. So my question would be, is there anything that the county, I know at one time they had a cemetery fund. I don't know what it was, did it go just right into the general fund or what happened to it, but at one time they was mowing, the county was mowing, taking care of all, not all the cemeteries, but some of them I don't think they can even find anymore. So my question would be, is there anything that the county board can do or whatever?
Yeah, and I'm kind of dating myself. At one time, there was an old cemetery board. Austin Hallerman was the main person behind it. He worked tirelessly on that. And then the county used to put money into an account for that, and Bush went through the highway department. They would hire summer workers and buy lawnmowers and things to take care of cemeteries. But Darren, can you kind of?
I'd have to look up when everything happened, the way that it did. To the best of my recollection, that money was just spent, and then it was decided that rather than put money in a separate fund, it was funded out of the highway department. And then when I think we all know that the highway department has suffered some pretty significant cuts over the last decade or so. And at one point, that program was discontinued. I'm sure Kevin can speak more to that too, where they stopped hiring the summer workers. And so all the funds that were in that brown mark, I'm not going to get a crick in my neck. I think that,
Let me answer.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay. When I came here, there was $12,000 a year being dedicated from the general fund to this cemetery line item. And out of that $12,000 a year, we would typically buy a mower about every other year, maybe buy a weed eater, chainsaw, but we could hire about 3 individuals and they could work through the summer. Typically, it was high school boys, girls, whatever, whoever applied. And we went out and took care of these cemeteries, went to try to find them, we reclaimed them, whatever, until the $12,000 was gone. Then that was usually about the time they would go back to school. During the cuts, this has been taking place these cuts are not just now, this has been going on for 6 or 7 years. The highway department carried that program for about 2 years after the board decided not to fund it any longer. And then once we started enduring numerous cuts, we had to start prioritizing our own work, putting the money on the roads, and then we no longer funded that program out of our lines. And so it's not been funded now for the last, I'm like Darren, time gets away from me, but for about the last 4 years.
But all the money that was originally in there for that.
There wasn't any money originally in
No,
there. There was
I
no
mean-
bank of money. It was $12,000 a year that came from the board.
Right, but I mean, that was
General
all
fund,
used
and we
to
spent that
do
every
that.
year.
To
Yes.
do that, it wasn't spent somewhere.
You're asking the balance that were transferred somewhere else? No, it was always dedicated to
It
that,
was
and it was
always
just never appropriated anymore.
Zero-based budgeting. If there was $1,000 left in the fund at the end of the year, we'd buy a couple of chainsaws.
Okay.
But there never was. We usually ended up carrying them at the highway department. We would usually exhaust the money and then carry them a couple more weeks or supplement the purchase of the equipment. There was never any money left over.
Bobby, this has been something that's been brought up several times throughout the history, and I think it is a significant problem. I don't know that it's at the top of the list of things you guys have to deal with, but it's something I think the board could get involved in. I wonder if the board couldn't help facilitate a meeting of, I would recommend even of churches, and see if they could do almost an adopted cemetery program where churches would go out and have a work day or something like that a few times during the summer. And I'm sure everybody in every congregation, every congregation has a mower that could go out and do that. It might be a really nice thing for the churches to do for the county.
Ron, did you have something else?
Yeah, my question is, we keep cutting the ambulance service and the highway department. I know none of you guys live on a county road, but our roads are terrible in Union County. Did any of you guys went out and drove these county roads and looked? You had no money.
I've been driving for 50 years. I've got a farm on
I
county
know you
road.
do, but anybody else? And they're terrible. I think the board needs to represent everybody in the county, not just a few. I think we need to get money back in the county highway department and the ambulance service we keep taking money from them, and we got $1 million something in the slush fund for a rainy day, I guess. Why aren't we, to me, it's raining in Union County right now with the sunshine. We need to get something done.
Ron, to kind of answer that question a little bit for you.
Now, wait a minute, you're not on the board right now, Dale, I'm not gonna speak to you. You're resigning,
I'm still here until the 24th.
whatever. But why are we still taking money from the highway department, ambulance service, sheriff's department, to make ourselves look good on this budget? We got $1 million in the slush fund. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that we need to do something to the county.
I understand it, Ron, I know where you're coming from with it, but that fund up there, if the state stops paying like they've done before, it was that money that kept the people in this county working. Otherwise, we'd have had layoffs go on.
Yeah.
But on that other tune, you gotta understand too, that the state's cut us here at the county level about the tune of $120,000, cut their department down there at $78,000 out of the motor fuel tax, where they're not gonna get no more. And those taxes, those cuts are gonna continue on for probably a couple more years, if not more. Now, we cannot make up the difference because we don't have the tax base to keep the difference going on. It's like your checkbook. You'll have a surplus in your checkbook, but do you wanna go ahead and spend it all on your kids and not have anything left over for, for a rainy day that comes down for your family? That's what we did
That
here.
don't even make sense, Dad. We got $1 million in there, and if I got a savings account in the bank, and I don't have any money in my checking account, I don't go borrow any money, I take it out of my savings account so I don't have to pay taxes on it. Pay interest. Now, I think, I know you've taken $100,000 out of the highway department. $100,000 could go a long way in working on our county roads.
And we gave Kevin some of the money and keep rotating it back to him so that we can get rid of a lot of the bridges we put in to his, that we've calculated. We're calculating more money in this new budget to put in for his stuff down there. I mean, we're trying to make things happen, but we're having to work around the money that we do have that's come in. We can use our slush fund and it'll be all gone and we'll never be able to do anything. We're gonna be right where we were back 8 years ago, 7, 8 years
You
ago.
get the slush fund. You got it from the highway department, the ambulance service, all of our office holders. That's where you got your money. That's the only way you get it. And we know the state's not paying, but that's no excuse not to give the county some money. By taking $100,000 out of the budget, that would go a long way of doing something to our county roads. You guys need to represent everybody in the county.
I think that's what we've been doing.
I don't think we have. I mean, you go out here and talk to people in the county and find out what's going on. Anybody that lives on a county road, you haven't even been here to the meeting, Dale, so there's no sense. These three guys here know what's going on, and we got a new guy coming in. Let's represent everybody in the county.
Okay, Ron, so that pretty much it for you?
Okay, that's enough.
Okay.
Because you didn't do nothing the last time we talked about this. Every one of you was there. You didn't do one thing. You're not representing everybody.
Ron.
I think all of you
Ron.
need to resign.
I'm gonna tell you,
No, I'm not, I'm done.
okay?
I
no.
pay my taxes in here like everybody else.
Then I'm
And
gonna
you guys
tell you,
aren't
I'm gonna
listening.
tell you on the way out, we have a good working relationship with Kevin and Grant, that's who you name. We have a good working relationship with them, we work with their budgets on each one of them. We're making progress on it,
And you got $1 million in the bank.
and we're making progress on it. And all our meetings aren't like that. But anyway, we have good office holders here, they do a good job. We just talked to Scott on his, and he worked with us real well on his, we can't just do things, we can't just look a year at a time at things. We have to look to the future. And, we're doing things as we can, and, we know that the public wants good roads, and they want good ambulance service, they want good police protection, and they want good people in the courthouse. So, that's our ultimate goal, is to work with everybody and make it happen. So,
Very well said.
Can I say something about that too?
Yes.
Just the same thing we said at the last meeting, but, with regards to it calling, you know, a slush fund, it's not a slush fund, it's obviously a reserve. It's used so that we can function throughout the year until we get a tax payment. Like I mentioned at the last meeting, during the first several months of the year and until Darren does a tax disbursement, if you look at his reports that come out every single week, that are on the website every single week to look at, the general fund is negative. It gets as high as, Darren, correct me if I'm wrong, but negative 500,000, negative 600,000 before we do a tax disbursement. If you didn't have $1 million sitting in the same bank account, you could not function during those first part of the years without laying people off or putting bills aside, not paying vendors. That's why the money is there. It's not there to take away from the highway department, the ambulance department. And I know that's not coming from Kevin and Grant. I don't mean anything like that. And with regards to meeting with them, I mean, we've met with both of them. I think the results of our meetings were fine. The board is trying to put more money into the roads and bridges, because that's what the taxpayers have wanted. And I've been working with Kevin, he's working with me to see where can we put the money to get the most utilization from the tax dollars. So we are working towards that, but I don't think using all your reserves is the answer, because it's going to cause more problems.
any other public comments? Is there anything we need to go in executive session for today? Okay.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.